So let's see if I can get you zoomed in here a little bit. All right, that's about as much as I can get you zoomed in. So with this carburetor, there's a little pin right there, which I think you can see. Yeah, you can see that. There's a little pin right there. And that little pin lines up with that hole in that carburetor right there. And then these three plastic pieces basically wrap around the carburetor here, here, and here. So I've already got the wires hooked up to my kill switch on this intake system, and just have it sitting off to the side. If you remember from the last video on this saw, we had to roll that off and we had to roll it back in. I'm going to take this carburetor and make sure it's oriented the right way. Like I said, that little side there, that little hole. I'm going to set it down in there, and you're going to line that pin up with that hole. And at the same time, get those three plastic tabs around there. And this top tab actually has a little hook on it, and it will grab the top of that carburetor. Because in order to get the carburetor off, you're going to have to peel up on it a little bit. So it'll snap into place, and it will hold it there for you. Now, let's zoom you back out. All right. Now, make sure your fuel lines are out of the way for now. And I don't remember, but at some point I may have messed up, maybe. We got to get this throttle linkage on there. Nope. Yeah, I believe that's it there. There. I believe now we can try to roll this in. I believe this fuel line here goes down to the brass fitting, and it's too short to go anywhere else. We can slide that on now while we have a little room to do so. This one will go around to the purge bulb, and this little short one over here will also go to the purge bulb. we're going to get that purge bulb kind of aimed into its little pocket here. And at the same time, roll this around. And we also got to get that choke lever inside of the, that lever inside of the kill switch also. Somehow all at the same time. And we've also gotten to get this pin here inside this little rubber boot here. I'll tell you what, it's a lot to do for one little thing. Well, give me a minute. All right, so I got this together. There's just a lot going on at one time. So you've got to, all at one time, get the intake in place, get it into that little rubber piece right there, and into here all at the same time. And then make sure that none of your hoses are hung up somewhere. So I got this hose pulled out because it was stuck under here. I got it pulled out and stuck onto the purge bulb. And then we're going to route this hose around to the purge bulb there also. Now, we have this little piece there on the throttle linkage. And it has a little tab right there. And it goes into that piece right down in there. And it all just clips together. Once you do that, test your trigger out, and it seems to be working fine. Check your kill switch assembly. Make sure it's working fine. It appears to be working fine. Now we can finally put our screws in. Just snuggle them up a little bit by hand first. This one over here on this side is going to be the trickiest one because it's really tucked up in there. This one over here, not so bad. Top one's fairly easy. And just snug it up a little bit. I will double check that. somewhere. There we go. I'll just go back with a ratchet, just kind of get a hands-on feel, and that seems to be perfect. Yep, that seems to be fine. Now we can take and route this hose, which I believe it clips in that little clip right there in between these two little pieces here. Snap that up into there, run it around the back, and hook it into the long. So on your purge bulb, you got a short stem and a long stem. So that little short hose goes to the short stem on this saw, and that long line that I just ran all the way around to the side there, the long hose will go into that long stem there. And then your third one, which I hooked up first down into here, goes to the bottom of the carburetor. And before you button everything up, just give the purge bulb a test to make sure it's working properly. And this one seems to be. So we're good to go there. All right, we can take our air filter, we can pop that on now. We can reattach our, can't remember if I looked at the spark plug or not. On the, yep, I did. It's loose. Double check it again though. Yeah, it's got good color to it. Check the gap. The gap is a hair over 25. Yep. It's got some marks on the inside of this, which I probably mentioned that the last time. Tiny bit of carbon on top, nothing thick and chunky. So we're going to put this back. Just snug them up. Just crush the washer. If it's a used one and your washer's already crushed, just snug it up. Plug wire back on. I don't think I ever took this side cover off to check out the starter assembly, so we're going to do that real quick. Everything seems to be working fine there. It's a little dirty under here, so we'll get this cover popped off of here. Well, going out of there. All I'm doing with most of this stuff here is just blowing it off. That's about the best cleaning it's going to get. All right. We'll saw that a little bit, get that nastiness out of there. All right. Not perfect, but it's better. Now, if I was tearing a saw down to do, you know, cylinder work or replace bearings and seals, things like that, I would give it a very good, I'd give it a good cleaning. Get it washed down pretty good. You don't want it to be working on that kind of stuff on a dirty saw, risking the chance of getting some debris into something you just got done building. Alrighty, let's get this top on. Alright. Okie dokie. Let's see if we can get this thing to fire off. Well, I don't know why this camera won't focus on its own. All right. Seems to be running a little fat on some of these carbs anymore because I just don't want people tampering with them. There we go. We have adjustment screws. Yep. It's a spline adjustment screw. And I got one right there that'll fit it. Alright. Our filter back on. And let's get her adjusted. Seems to be running pretty good. Takes a second for one to idle down completely. We'll get a bar on it, and but we got it bench tuned anyway, and that should be good enough for now. And we'll test run it in the wood. But I'll probably wait until we get all the saws ready to go. I'm thinking about doing a video of just running saws. This chain's already been sharpened. Ready to go. Excuse me. Let me clean this cover off, clutch cover. She's pretty nasty. So I'll get her covered up, cleaned off pretty good, and I'll bring her right back. Alrighty, just doing a little cleaning up on the saw a little bit. That'll be perfect. And then when you're done with your equipment, especially a saw or something like that, maybe just take an air compressor if you got one and just kind of blow it off before you put it away. That way it'll be ready for you the next time. And it helps, you know, build up a debris. Like when you're blowing the saw off, you can get up underneath the cover here and blow all that crud out from underneath the cover. And that way it doesn't build up too much around the clutch, because buildup will get around that clutch and your clutch doesn't perform like it's supposed to. In the same way with the other side, your starter assembly could get gummed up over time, and then it won't work properly, and then this can get clogged up enough, and that's where air comes in to help pull the motor down. So if that's all blocked off, it can't pull itself properly like it should. Just little tidbits like that help your equipment last a long time for you. All right, so this saw is one of those one bolt. Has two little studs here that help stabilize the bar. This cover, I like these covers. I'm glad to see a lot of manufacturers are doing this now, but your adjustment's right there. I always hated those adjusters that were on the inside of the bar back in here that you could hardly get your screwdriver or your scrunch in to try and tighten up your chain. I hated those. Just a pain to get in there. Well, you gonna get on there or what? Daggone chain came off again. What the hell? Get in there. There we go. All right. So on your chains, you don't need to crank them up tighter than a banjo. Snug them up until they come up and touch the bottom of your bar. Take your handle of your saw and tilt it forward. When you tilt it forward, you should see that chain slack up again. Take and bring that chain up to the bottom of your bar again. And that should be enough. Now you'll see some people, and I used to do it too, when they were doing that same process, instead of lifting up the back of your chainsaw and letting the bar rest down, they would take and grab the bar and pull up on it. I learned that little trick from somebody, and I just been doing it ever since. It makes more sense to me. Seems to be a little easier. And once you've done that, give her a good run around. Make sure everything feels right. Make sure it's locked into your sprocket fine. Now on a new chain, you'll do that same process. You'll fire it up and run it, and in no time that chain will stretch and you'll have a big old sag here. Do that same process all over again. And but that's just basically the chain breaking in, the initial break-in. You would loosen up your nut again. You would lift up on the back of your bar, and you would tighten that up till you see the chain come up to the bottom of your bar, and tighten everything down again. That is plenty good, all right? That is not too tight. You're not going to wear out your bearing back here, and you're not going to wear out your crankshaft bearing. You're not going to wear out your tip bearing, your sprocket bearing up here. Alrighty, let's fire it up again. So you should do a restart. We'll try it out the choke first, see what happens. Alright, she wants to choke it, I guess. Thing we need to do. I didn't run it long. For one, I don't know. I need to double check to see if there's oil, bar oil in it. And then two, grease your tips. There's little holes in these bars. One right there. One on the other side up top. And this is the little grease gun made just for that. Let's double check, see if we got our oil. Nope. That's why I didn't run it long. Got a half a tank. Make sure your bar is oiling. Or is getting oil, I should say. Your oiler's oiling. All right, that's the Husqvarna 435. She's back together. She's running pretty good. We got it bench tuned, but we'll get it in the wood and we'll get it tuned a lot better for them. Appreciate you stopping by. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Be kind and help people when you can.